Q.
Hello and welcome to BQ Prime. A very good morning to all the viewers. I'm Hiral Dadia. There is pressure coming in today's session as well, and we are below the 19,700 mark already in terms of Nifty 50. A lot of stock-specific action is what we've been witnessing, and to discuss more, joining us on the show is Gaurang Shah. Gaurang, good morning and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Hiral. Morning to all of you all, and thank you very much for inviting me for the show.
Always a pleasure. Gaurang, let's start with the ITC. The stock ended with cuts of almost 3 to 4% in yesterday's session. It's opened lower in today's session as well on the back of the demerger news. What's your view and what would you advise investors to do?
Well, Hiral, so first a disclosure, we have a fundamental buy call on ITC, and I think the demerger news of not only the hotel business, I think going forward you might hear about other business also, getting listed as a separate entity. Now, what the street I'm assuming, Hiral, what the street is lying is, hotel business getting listed as a holding company. I think that's what disappointed the market to a certain extent because the value unlocking or value creation, maybe the market feel will not possibly be justified in terms of the consolidated holding entity. Having said that, I think the minus the tobacco and cigarette business, other businesses have started to contribute to a great extent. We are excited about it. From being an underperformer for the last 6-8 months, ITC has become one of the top performers of the FMCG sector. And my sense is that after a brief period of consolidation, the stock should settle down, maybe close to 450 or sub 450 levels, and then you might see momentum again coming back on fallback of earning visibility. And earnings have been quite decent for ITC over the last couple of quarters.
Right. Moving on, today's session, you have two auto names that will be reporting numbers, that is Tata Motors as well as Bajaj Auto. Now, JLR, it seems, has been auguring really well from a volume perspective for a Tata Motors. And Bajaj Auto, the export has been a concern. What's your view and what would you advise investors to do with these two majors?
One more stock as an underperformer or an underdog from an auto sector, Tata Motors, that is. And I think sub 400, nobody wanted to touch it, closer to 350, to be very honest with you. There were a lot of concerns in terms of the GLR business with the concentration in UK and China, but we always believed that UK and China are not the only countries where people drive GLR, Jaguar Land Rover. There are other places also, including in India. We've seen quite a many GLRs on the road. Having said that, I think the passenger vehicle business has grown quite smartly. The portfolio has increased to a great extent in terms of product offering. Commercial vehicle business is also doing very, very smartly in terms of the pickup, in terms of orders, etc. And more importantly, I think if you have demand coming in from the fleet owners as well as e-commerce company, along with infrastructure boom, I think commercial vehicle segment should do well. Stock is again, like ITC being an underperformer. Tata Motors have become one of the top performers in the passenger vehicle four-wheeler segment. We are extremely upbeat about the company, and the recent numbers as far as GLR is concerned also throws in a lot of positivity.
Hmm. Right. And how are you looking at a Bajaj Auto?
Okay, yeah. So Bajaj Auto, I think about 2 weeks back we had a huge announcement for all the two-wheeler biking enthusiasts, be it in form of Bajaj Triumph or be it in form of Hero Harley. Uh, Again, the demand from semi-urban and rural India Hiral is likely to pick up because of good monsoon. And the rural India, Hiral, semi-urban and rural India has grown from those entry-level 100, 125cc bikes to higher-end segments like 350cc plus kind of category. And that's where the demand is from. So my sense is that Bajaj Auto, again, there was a little bit of setback with export market, with the geographies where Bajaj Auto used to export. Over there, you see stability coming back. So export orders should also pick up over a period of time. A positive on Bajaj Auto as well. One of the top picks, in fact, in the two-wheeler segment.
Right. Moving on, in terms of the FMCG and the consumption pack, you have Asian Paints as well as the Jubilant Foodworks that will be reporting numbers. How are you looking at both these counters, and do you think they're attractive bets?
Disclosure, both the companies we have a coverage. Jubilant Foods, Hiral is one of the topmost performer in the QSR segment. And with 35% of our population being young, sub 30 and 28 years of age, I think the demand is going to be extremely robust. The only problem remains in terms of input cost. There is a lag effect in terms of passing on the price hike to the end customer like you and me and the young India. But nevertheless, having said that, I think the triple SG, that is the same store sales growth, should improve over the next couple of quarters. Positive on Jubilant Foodworks. Asian Paints, I think the advantage should be positive in terms of lower trajectory of crude oil prices over the last 3 months, since we are talking about the first quarter earnings, that is June ending. And not only in India, this company is present across the globe.
Mm,
Fantastic range of products to offer, right from the entry to the high-end decorative segment, and of course, industrial and automotive paints.
right. So that's with regards to Asian Paints. Moving on, L&T will be reporting numbers as well. And the hot news right now is with regards to where the buyback consideration is concerned. And this is going to be interesting to see because the last buyback was something which was told for an L&T. How are you looking at L&T, Gaurang?
Certain stocks, Cyril, are, I term them as generation stocks. And what do I mean by generation stocks is, if you don't need the money, just pass on this to the next generation as a gift,
Mm,
and the value gets created. And L&T is one of the topmost companies as far as I'm concerned in terms of investor friendly. Every 3 to 4 years, you have a 1:1 bonus, or one for 2 shares held, they give you one bonus. During the year, they give you dividends, sometimes out of the turn dividends also. And
mm,
the best part, Hiral, that I've noticed about L&T is that after announcement of bonus, the price gets adjusted respectively for the proportion ratio of the bonus. And over the next 1 or 2 years, the ex bonus shares come to the come bonus levels. So you can just imagine the kind of value or the wealth L&T creates. I think the kind of order book that is there across business verticals, be it infrastructure, turnkey projects, hydrocarbon, be it power, be it defense, extremely, extremely positive. And I think one should not look at buyback if you're a long-term investor in L&T, because uh, buybacks for these kind of companies only tell you that the perspective of management as to how they value the company. And I
mm.
think L&T is a stellar kind of a performer.
Right. Moving on, you have a JK paper. Now, the stock has seen some smart moves in today's session on the back of a good surge in terms of profitability. How would you advise investors to play with the JK paper?
So, no specific comments, Hiral, on the stock because we don't have coverage, but the industry
Mm,
looks very exciting. Excuse me. And JK Paper happens to be one of the strongest balance sheet in this industry. And I think if you're talking about migrating from plastic to paper and environment friendly kind of use, then I think the demand is going to be extremely, extremely robust. So you should look at strong balance sheet in this industry from a long term perspective.
right. Another one is a Chennai Petro, which has been trading under pressure, due to which, if you see, there is an impact, and even MRPL is under pressure in today's session. Chennai Petro, yes, reported numbers. What's your view on the stock?
So both, MRPL and Chennai Petro, they have rallied to a great extent. Let's face it.
Mm,
And I think on fallback of the, crude oil prices running up and little bit of concern in terms of margin pressure because of the run up in crude oil pricing, refining margins could come under pressure, etc. So you might see a little bit of cool off. But again, if you're not looking at short to medium term and if you're looking at long term, then these are great names to kind of look at over a longer period of time.
right. Moving on, Aarti Drugs is an interesting one. The kind of rally that we saw in yesterday's session, today the second consecutive session where the stock has continued the up move. And the interesting factor to consider over here is the buyback price of 900 rupees per share versus the current market price. What's your view?
I sometimes get amused with the kind of buyback price that the companies offer, even for case in point L&T, Hiral. Investors should possibly just look at it from the other perspective. That if the stock is trading at 400 or 450, why on earth is the management give you 2 times the price to buy it back? Isn't there something missing? I think definitely you have to look like that. No specific comments, but I think the sector is looking a little bit, kind of a consolidation kind of a mode. But within the sector, I think names like Aarti Drugs on fallback of course, this buyback news, you are seeing the stock run up. Now, if you are a short to medium term investor and if you bought in only from the short term perspective, then you can, possibly take your judgment or decide accordingly. Long term, I think it all depends upon how the numbers unfold for this particular sector.
Right. And the last one I want to discuss with you is the SJVN, the kind of order book and the pipeline that the company has been building so far. I mean, on a in the last say 2 months itself, the kind of LOIs that they've got and the orders that they've won from various states. Today, over the week, I mean, over yesterday's session as well, some five other projects that did come in. How would you view a SJVN? Because now execution becomes key.
So, Hiral, I think this entire sector, that is power generation, and along with power generation, Hiral, for the benefit of your viewers and investors, I'll also, add in transmission and distribution companies, and for the entire power sector. And honestly speaking, I think SJVN has got a history in terms of underperformance from the time it got listed. I think it was many years back. It has been an underperformer, but I think things are changing for the power sector. I think the government is moving in the right direction in terms of policy changes. And the
Hmm.
kind of new power generation facilities that is going to come up in the next 3 to 5 years, it's going to be very, very huge. And that will benefit companies like, power generation companies like SJVN is there, Tata Power is there, Torrent Power, NTPC, CSC for a matter of fact. All these companies will get benefited over a longer period of time.
Right. So I think interesting moves that we are seeing in the power sector. In fact, yesterday the entire sector was up and about in trade as well. Thank you, Gaurang, so much for joining us on the show and sharing those views. So those are the movers and shakers in trade today. But clearly, a somber day of trade is what we've been witnessing. How the tides turn is what we need to wait and watch and see, because Thursday is it. I mean, it is expiry week as well, so there could be high amount of volatility that could start creeping in. That's all that we have on this session. Thanks for watching, and lots more lined up on the other side. Please stay tuned to BQ Prime.